Alright everybody, we are finally back with the Orks Fast Attack for the 9th edition codex. Now it's been a while, I've been away, and in the time that I've been away there's been actually a couple of changes that have been made. However, I feel like overall the Fast Attack is still the same, and Orks Fast Attack has never been better than ever. So going into it, Fast Attack is absolutely stacked in 9th edition. Fast Attack is ridiculous. There's a lot of choices and almost every choice is viable. That being said, it does lead to the slot being a little bit crowded. It's a bit crowded because it's hard to choose what exactly you're going to go for in your Fast Attack slots, since Fast Attack has kind of become a staple in all the Orc armies. Thing that's been changed is that you can only actually have one unit of buggies. Each unit of buggies containing up to 3 buggies per type of buggy. So there's no more Megatrakk spamming, no more Squigbuggy spamming, which I personally like. I didn't really like those strategies where people were spamming Squigbuggies, Megatrakks, so I think this is a welcome change. As well, there's been the new Octarius Warzone, which allows the Orcs to have an army of Renown, which is the Speed Freaks army of Renown, which is actually quite powerful. Although it has seen some mixed reception, there has been a couple of top 3 finishes with that army of Renown, and I would say that I think people are going to figure it out, and I think it's easy to play against, but there is still a lot of potential for that army of Renown. But before I get into it, let's go over the rating system. So 9 out of 10 being essential for competitive play, 7 out of 8 being viable in competitive play and seen in certain archetypes, 5 and 6 being seen limited competitive play, 3 and 4 meaning that there's other units that are usually better, and 1 to 2 is crying face, which just means that, well, it's sad. Without further ado, let's jump into the first unit, and that unit is the Boomdakka Snazzwagons. So Boomdakka Snazzwagons are, honestly, when you look at them in a vacuum, they're not bad at all, okay? They've got -1 to hit with billowing fumes. They're decent in terms of their wound count. They've got 8 wounds. They've got 4+ save. So their durability for their point cost is not bad, considering that these are around 90 points. So a squad is about 270 points. Their guns are not bad, considering that they have a DACA 14, DACA 10, and it's 2 damage apiece, which is very, very important right now, as there's a lot of units that are now 2 damage. And although it sucks to be shooting against units that have -1 to damage, 2 damage is still very good with all the Marines and a lot of troop options going to 2 wounds. However, when you compare this unit to the rest of the buggies, that's where you start to get problems, as its shooting is good, but it's not outstanding, and the melee is really mediocre as well. So for that reason, it's really being outshone by the Megatrakks, the Shock Jumps, the Rukkatrukks, and even the custom Boosta Blastas. So we're not seeing the Boomdakka Snazzwagon as much as we would like to see them. For that reason, I would give this a 7 out of 10. It is being used still in speedwalks, but I don't think this is a staple in most archetypes. Next up, we got Deffkoptas. So Deffkoptas are really good because of the fly keyword. Their combat profile is not amazing. They are pretty decent at clearing chaff because their spitting blades essentially allows them to have 6 attacks against an infantry type unit. It's got 5 strength and -1 AP, so it's going to do a decent amount of damage against squads of infantry, especially since these comes in packs of 3 now. The only thing is that it's not super durable. It's got 5 toughness and 4 wounds, so you can clear a squad if you really dedicate firepower to it. But realistically, you're not going to want Deffkoptas to be doing much brapping or even crumping, really. You're really going to be using these to mess around with your opponent's backlines, maybe tie up some things in the back that you want to tie up. But more importantly, you're going to use these to score secondaries, such as, well, I can't even remember. Oh, engage on all fronts. You're going to be wanting to score engage on all fronts. And there's going to be odd times we're going to be able to steal some backfield objectives. Fly being extremely, extremely important now because there's so much terrain in this edition in competitive lists. So the fly keyword really helps to make this unit extremely versatile and useful. Next up, we got the Grot Tank. The Grot Megatank is a mobile. It's like a mobile Dakka platform, so it's got a lot of guns, like a lot of guns, and you also have a lot of options on the Grot Megatanks. You can take it with big shooters. It could take 7 big shooters. It could take 7 Grotzukas. It could take 7 custom Mega Blastas, 7 rocket launchers, or 7 Scorchers. So in essence, you can take like any mix of these. So you could take 3 shooters and 4 custom Mega Blasters. So it's very versatile. One thing to note is its depreciating movement profile, which is odd. I don't know. I don't even know if that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just strange because it goes down to D6 movement. It is good. It is quite tough. It has ramshackle and it has 11 wounds, so it is. You do need to blast at it to really get it off the field, given that it has 3+ save as well. So it's seen from time to time in competitive play. It's not really something that's seen in a particular archetype all the time, so that's why I gave it a 6 out of 10. However, I personally think that the Grot Megatank is definitely an underdog unit. The only thing is that it does take up that precious fast attack slot. And when you're comparing one Grot Megatank with something like 3 Rukkatrukk Squigbuggies or 3 Megatrakk Scrapjets or even 3 like Boomdakka Snazzwagons, just to play devil's advocate, I would say that yeah, it has a hard time really fighting for that fast attack slot. If this was a heavy unit, this would be probably a 9 out of 10 just because of its ability to dish out so much firepower. But in the fast attack slot, unfortunately, so many things outshine it, so that's why it's a 6 out of 10. All right, Grot Tanks, honestly, I mean, I love Grots, okay? First of all, I would love for a Grot only list to be viable, but I think Games Workshop freaking hates, they just despise Grots. The only thing that they like Grots for is milking Christmas. So unfortunately, Grot Tanks, while they're a cool unit, they're quite lackluster. They can take pretty much any gun that the Grot Megatank can, but the thing with Grot Tanks is that they have very poor survivability at 5 toughness and 4 wounds apiece. Plus, their leadership is very poor, so you're going to have a lot of these running since they come in units of at least 3. They do have Ramshackle now, which is nice, but I think for the points-wise, you would actually rather have a Grot Megatank over these a lot of the time, or just anything else. As you'll see, this is literally the only fast attack unit, I think, which is not viable in competitive play. Who knows? Maybe someone will come up with a list where they spam Grot Tanks and it works somehow, but I think for the time being, I don't see Grot Tanks being very useful in competitive play. There's just a lot of easy ways to deal with them. There's a lot of strength 6 weapons that people have, multi-damage, and even with Ramshackle, I mean, you kill 1 or 2 of these and then you easily have a squad running away. You're losing points so easily for no reason. So for that reason, I think Grot Tanks are 3 out of 10, and there's just many better options in the fast attack slot. All right, custom Boosta Blastas. These in the beginning of the year didn't see much play, but now they're seeing much more play in Speedwogs. They're very good at anti-infantry. They've got the Burna exhaust, and they've got the rivet cannon, which is also very strong as well. So 2 damage rivet cannon at Dakka 9/6. Minus 2 AP definitely hurts. They also have spike ramp, so if you need to charge at things, they can definitely do that. And this is actually one of the buggies that doesn't have blast, so when it's in melee, it can do its thing. It can fire off Burna exhaust, it can shoot its rivet cannons, so it doesn't have the same trouble of being touched in melee as a lot of the buggies do. It's got great shooting, it's decent in melee, it's very cheap at 80 points a model. It's definitely going to pay for itself over the course of the game, and that's why I would give this an 8 out of 10. Very solid choice, the custom Boosta Blastas, as an anti-infantry buggy. Megatrakk Scrapjets are the pinnacle of Ork technology. This is probably crafted by Orkimedes himself. This is the anti-everything buggy. The Megatrakk Scrapjet will just literally blow, brap, Dakka, crump anything in its way, alright? Megatrakk Scrapjets are amazing. They, for the points cost, they're awesome. Even with the nerf, they're still amazing. There was a reason why people were taking like 9 of these in a list. It's because they're wicked. They have a lot of Dakka because they have 2 twin big shooters. So they're having, if you're in Dakka range, that means that they have 20 shots. They've got a rocket cannon with 3d3. They've got a wing missile. They're pretty nasty in close combat at 8 strength, minus 2 AP, d3 damage, and 4+ weapon skill, which for Orks is pretty low, but for a 4+ on a vehicle, that's pretty good. As well as having spiked rams, which means that you're also dishing out mortal wounds, as well as the ramming speed stratagem that you can use, as well as if you're an army of renown, one of the speed mob armies, then you can dish out a lot of mortal wounds. I don't even know how many you can dish out, but you could do D3 plus D3 plus D3 mortal wounds with this guy, with a squad of them. And you could, it's so many mortal wounds I can't even calculate right now, but it's a lot of mortal wounds, okay? They're a staple in any speedwalk list. They're a staple in competitive lists. Right now, speedwalks are doing quite well, and if you have a speedwalk list, you definitely want to take Megatrakk Scrapjets. These things are worth their weight in gold. I will say this, one of their weakness is because their cannons are blast. By being touched, it is kind of a pain for the Megatrakks, because now you gotta fall back. You can't shoot your cannons in close combat. However, I feel like most of the time people are quite cautious at using Megatrakks in competitive play, so you're really going to be either going for the freebooter style of alpha striking with these and just trying to brap things on the field before people can touch you, or with the new speed mobs army of renown, you can actually use a stratagem to fall back and shoot, so that really helps with a lot of the weaknesses that Megatrakks have. Alright, moving on. The Nob on Smasha Squig. This is a unit that everyone on release thought was going to be like super amazing, spectacular, and just save the Orks from the depths of the B tier of all armies. But realistically, when you actually play with the unit, it is good, but it's nothing. It's not like S tier. It's not the top of the top. It is definitely a solid unit. It is also useful because you can give it warlord traits, such as the faster than use warlord trait for the evil sons, which allows it to essentially you give this a warlord trait where it allows you to pick a unit that's close to this one and gives them advance in charge or fall back and shoot, which is very nice. And yeah, I mean, it's not a bad unit at all. I mean, it can deal mortal wounds. It's pretty strong in melee as well with 4 attacks. And with the Smasha Squig attacks, I think it goes up to 8. And having 7 strength, definitely nothing to scoff at in terms of melee. Shooting, obviously, is quite lackluster. It's just typical Orc shooting. I find that the Nob on Smasha Squig can suffer from just being brapped off the board before it does anything. One thing that is cool is that for every each Squighog Boyz detachment, you can actually take 2 of these without taking up a detachment slot. So that's very interesting. So you can actually, these things don't take a fast attack slot, which actually makes them a lot more useful than they seem. Overall, I would say 7 out of 10. We're not seeing these spammed like we predicted, but we are still seeing them in competitive play, and they are still performing quite well. Okay, Nobz on Warbikes. These are supposed to be the elite version of the regular Warbikers, but sadly enough, these are actually worse than Warbikers because they're more expensive. They don't have -1 to hit. They do have +1 strength, but that doesn't do really a whole much. Going from 4 to 5 is not super significant enough to warrant the point cost, and also losing the -1 to hit. So most of the time you're just gonna want to have regular Warbikers. So for that reason, these are a 4 out of 10. If they were actually keeping the -1 to hit, I think that would make them a much more viable option. Of course, Nobz on Warbikers does have the option of you kitting out the whole squad with big choppers, or kitting them out with the power claws. But even with that, I still think they're lackluster in terms of their point cost. So for that reason, I would say that these are a 4 out of 10. Rukkatrukk Squigbuggies are just amazing. Like, these things are mini. What's that unit that Nurgle has that is a tank? These are mini Plague Burst crawlers, and they are awesome. So they have indirect fire. Indirect shooting is super powerful in 9th edition, again, because of all of the terrain. It is a little hit or miss. It's not the most reliable shooting, but when these things pop off, they definitely pop off in a good way. You do get +1 to hit on the heavy squig launches, which is a huge deal being an orc. As you know, 5+ ballistic skill ain't really that great, so allowing them to hit on 4+ is awesome. They do also have a squig mine. I know that a lot of people forget that, but it does give them the potential of having that a little bit of an anti-tank ability, as they can deal mortal wounds to a nearby vehicle. Overall, like, nothing bad to say. They're actually decent in melee too, because they're hitting on strength 7, -2 AP, 2 damage. So if they need to get close and to crump some things, they actually can. And some people will be very surprised to see how Rukkatrukk Squigbuggies do against medium and light armored units. They're being used in essentially every type of list out there, whether it's more infantry based list, speed wogs. It doesn't really matter. You're always going to see Rukkatrukk Squigbuggies. So for that reason, this is a 10 out of 10. Shock jump Draxes are interesting because just like custom Boosta Blastas, we didn't see much of them in the beginning of the year, but after the change in limiting the amount of one type of buggy you can have, shock jump Draxes are seeing a lot more play, and I think they're performing quite well. Even in the games I've played with shock jump Draxes, there's been games where shock jump Draxes have won me the game. Yes, there are times where I wish that my shock jump Draxes could be just another squad of Megatrakk Scrapjets, but nonetheless, these things have decent mobility at 14. Well, actually, more than decent. They have good mobility at 14 inches of movement. They can even teleport if they advance on a 4+. Their shooting is awesome. They're shooting on a 3+ thanks to their special rule, which allows them to shoot their custom shock rifle at 3+. And the custom shock rifle is quite a threat. It's going to do a lot for you. It's going to brap a lot of things off the table. It's assault 2. That's nothing that crazy, but it's D6, strength 8, and -3 AP, and can also inflict mortal wounds. Having 3 of these focus down, you know, just like a Dread Knight, a Plague Burst Crawler if you get a nice jump on them, or just any single target high armor unit feels pretty good because you're gonna brap them off the field. Overall, shock jumps have become more staple in the speed wogs, and I think there's a good reason why. For that reason, I give them an 8 out of 10. All right, Squighog Boyz. Squighog Boyz are quite devastating. They're pretty durable at toughness 6. When I play against Squighog Boyz, I'm always surprised myself how strong these things are. On paper, they might not seem that threatening, but with mixing in Squighog Boyz, you're now forcing the opponent to choose between wiping out Squighog Boyz or wiping out your chaff, or maybe focusing some Squigbuggies that you might have out of position, or your other buggies. Squighog Buggies are also pretty damn strong in melee. They can do quite a lot of damage. They end up having 7 attacks each, and their attacks are nothing to laugh at, especially considering that against vehicles and monsters, they also add 1 to the attack roll, and I think they even get... No, so they get 1 to the attack roll, attacks hit roll, making them quite lethal against those units. And at strength, it's strength 6, right? With the jaws, and also strength 6 with the melee. It's honestly nothing to scoff at. It's a great unit. It actually performs quite well in melee. It's great at clearing chaff and medium armored units. It's quite durable. 4+ save and 6 toughness, actually quite durable. So overall, Squighog Buggies, I would say it's 8 out of 10. I don't know if this is a unit you necessarily want to spam, but having 1 or 2 units of these is definitely a threat for your opponent. And also having squig mines on them is awesome because you can give them a squig bomb and deal mortal wounds, which further increases its damage output. All right, Stormboyz. Stormboyz have become a staple as well in competitive play. You're going to see this in speed wogs. You're going to see them in just regular infantry-based lists. They're just so good with the fly keyword, and you just put them in a Death Skulls detachment and give them OPSEC. Again, 9th edition is all about scoring in competitive play, and Stormboyz do that very well. You can also have them in deep strike, and you can also, if you need to, advance them a full 6 inches instead of the rolling for it. Yeah, you're gonna suffer mortal wounds, but sometimes even if you suffer mortal wounds, that could be the difference between you denying an objective, capping an objective, and swinging the tide of battle. So Stormboyz, with their mobility, their fly keyword, they're just very, very good. They're just a very good piece of the puzzle when it comes to scoring primaries and even secondaries like engage on all fronts. Now, in terms of combat, Stormboyz are still quite susceptible to be just wrapped off the table. They're still orcs. They've got 6+ save. And their melee, while it's good, I mean, orc melee is good, you're not going to have a lot of them in a squad. So they're not going to do a whole lot if you charge them into, like, let's say, I don't know, like 10 witches or even like 10 Skitari dudes. They're not going to really do a whole lot because they only have 3 attacks each, hitting on 3+. So in terms of combat potential, it is quite limited, but having them for those primaries and secondaries is extremely valuable. There are some people who have been running bigger units of Stormboyz, like 15, 10, and that's seen some interesting outcomes in competitive play. So we'll see what the meta evolves to. But definitely, for sure, the minimum size units of Stormboyz are going to be a staple, I think, for a long time. So for that reason, I give these a 9 out of 10. Warbikers. Oh, man, Warbikers got real good. Now you can even give them OPSEC with the new Armies of Renown if you take a speed mob. They've got great shooting. Their melee is just good, I would say. It's nothing like fantastic. It's orc melee, but you're not going to, again, have a lot of them as you would with regular boys, so it's just good. But their shooting is crazy good. Especially if you get them in Dakka range and you're shooting at chaff, it can be really quite devastating. They're also surprisingly durable against shooting and very mobile. I wouldn't say they're like the most durable unit, but they are quite a pain for your enemy to get rid of. And they do draw a lot of firepower. People are quite afraid of bikers. Whenever I play people and I run bikers, people used to just target these like all the time. They're not actually the biggest threat in combat, but their mobility is annoying, and it's really frustrating for opponents to play against these because you can use these to screen out your buggies and stop your opponent from charging your buggies. With the new Army of Renown and giving them the ability to have OPSEC, it just opens up way more playstyles for the Warbikers. That's it for all the fast attack. Thanks for watching. Like I said, I feel like the Orks fast attack has never been better. It's in a really great place. A lot of the units are just awesome and doing quite well. So I would say, really, if you're going to pick up fast attack for Orks, anything that you pick up is going to be fantastic, with the exception of Nobz on Warbikes and Grot Mega Tanks. Or sorry, not the Grot Mega Tanks, but the Grot regular tanks. As always, I really appreciate all your subs, your likes, and your comments. I really do appreciate that. Leave your thoughts and comments below. What you think is good, what you think is bad. I am making more videos now that I have some more free time and my work has slowed down. So leave a comment below. Tell me what you would like to see, what type of videos interest you. I already have a bunch of suggestions from you guys, so new content coming right away. As soon as I finish this video series on the Orc Codex, we're going to go straight to jail. So until next time, as always, keep those dice rolling, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next video.